But yeah. Yeah, you know what it is, baby. Music and mental health. Special guest.
What'd you say?
I said special guest.
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely the guest. You the host, the most.
Oh man, no, you're the guest with the best smile we've ever had on this dial. Multiplying, we ain't stopping. We are just half-lifing on this ditch.
It's a bumpy road, man, but you get home.
Amen. That's a great quote. That sounds like a light above your head. It's a bumpy road, but you get home. I think we already covered that. Music and mental health, episode number 14.
Okay. I'm gonna catch up with y'all, see what you guys been talking about. You're doing so much stuff, it's hard for me to know what you're doing next.
Man, I just do it. When I do it, and sometimes I do it for TV. That's a great reason that baby once said, you did.
You do that, man.
Are you familiar with Weezy F, baby?
No, what's that? Weezy F.
B Dave, you want to educate him on that?
Oh, that's just one of many Lil Wayne nicknames. Wheezy F the baby. Please say the baby. I like Lil Louisiana. I like that.
Is that your name, Weezy F?
No. That's a Lil Wayne nickname.
Lil Wayne. You talking about Lil Wayne?
Lil Wayne, Lil Tunechi, Lil Louisiana, Wheezy F baby. I mean, he's got a lot of stupid nicknames.
Yeah.
Carter, Mr. Carter. Yeah, but that's like Jay-Z gets Mr. Carter too.
Yeah,
that's another brother I lost track with. How's Lil Wayne doing? Has he got a new tattoo?
Dude, he's got a new album, came out maybe 6 weeks ago. It's fire. Go listen to Mahogany.
Okay. I'm not that hip to Lil Wayne. I used to try to check in on him, but I let him go after a while. But I'll come back to him and see if he can like psych me in again and I can reconnect.
Well,
I know he's a talented man.
Well, you got to let us know if you like it, because I think your opinion probably matters more than mine on this subject. But that's a different thing to say.
Where are you, David?
I'm in Venice Beach, California.
Oh, that's where love is, man.
You're in London, though, right?
Yeah, but I feel like you're in my home. I'm with you right now.
You're from LA or what, originally?
I'm from LA, man.
Where?
Like Fairfax and Pico.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
Smack dab, LA. Center.
Yeah, that is center of LA, yeah. Where did you go to high school?
Fairfax, man.
Okay, all right, yeah. I'm from Orange County originally, but I've been in Southern California, you know.
What high school is it out there in Orange County?
I went to 2 high schools. I went to Laguna Beach High School. That was an interesting MTV experience. I went there when they had a reality show. That was kind of a crazy thing.
What?
Yeah. But I graduated from a little private school in Newport Beach called Sage Hill, which is all rich kids that, you know, were too cool.
I love talking about LA.
Yeah. LA's a good place. So what are you doing in London? Why are you over there?
I'm blowing up, man, something. I don't know. It's like I'm doing my music. I'm surviving off the, I mean, London's really a cool place to be. I'm doing an album right now. I'm focusing on my new album, is Black Bohemian. And but I'm also promoting the album I just finished, which I just released. I still releasing singles off of that, off the Sex Madness album. So yeah, that's keeping me busy. But I'm also doing like you guys do. I do a radio show too, and that's been. I was doing something yesterday. That's why I got messed up with my timing yesterday. I was doing something on Sun Ra. You guys into Sun Ra?
Yeah, I'm into Sun Ra. Come on now, you Mr. Jazz Head over here. I'm trying to get to another planet. I got a couple Sun Ra vinyls to be specific. What? Oh yeah, I love Sun Ra. Come on, and I'm glad you brought that up. I think you hit a couple key elements here as the intro music fades away. My brother. Well, let's rewind just slightly. Tell us about your radio show.
My radio show is called Is Black Music. It's an alternative black music show. We do a lot of black folk, black country, black avant-garde classical. We're looking at the invisible side of black music, the side of black music you don't usually see. That people always think it's like, well, over here in England, people think, that they know what black music is. They talk about the gangster rap or this and that, but they don't know like kind of the other side of the culture, because we have so much heart and so much love and so much excellence in our culture,
Yeah.
And not to say that ain't excellent, but there's other sides to it than just the sex and the violence, So yeah, I'm just trying to break it down to people, they seem to appreciate it.
That's a beautiful thing. When you initially said black folk, I was like, oh, he's doing something for the black folk out there, but you're talking about black folk music.
Well, it can go either way.
That's amazing, brother. It's good to see you representing the brother man out there. Just to give you all a bit of backstory on this brother right here, Art Terry, pardon my parched cotton mouth here. I'm always get cotton mouth all of a sudden on these podcasts.
I wonder why that is.
Yeah, me too. So Art Terry, hailing from Los Angeles, California, was introduced to me through a mutual friend. I want to go ahead and call this gentleman a mentor of mine. The cat's name is Stu, who I believe also went to Fairfax High School.
That's right.
Now, Stu and Art came up together, and years later, after I had my theatrical debut in New York City with Stu's original music, The Total Bent, Tony Award-winning Stu offered me an opportunity to fly to another country, Abu Dhabi, the United Arab Emirates. And out there, I had the pleasure of rooming with this brother, Art Terry, at the NYU Abu Dhabi campus. And I really think that was my rebirth moment there.
Wow.
Because right after that, I went back to New York for one day, and then I flew to LA. And when I flew to LA, I began my journey on the project For Everybody. And this is such a beautiful thing to have you here on the Music and Mental Health podcast, because we are connected in so many ways. Our souls are definitely finding each other in this lifetime. I believe I have met you many lifetimes ago, again and again. Yeah. And it's such a pleasure for you to be here, my brother. Thank you so much for coming on the Music and Mental Health podcast.
Oh man, it's good. It's good to be with you. It's funny that we're in the same kind of country and everything, because that was a trip the way we met, the way brother Stu, he's a deep cat. He does all that work with Spike Lee, all that music with Spike Lee, and it's just a really interesting guy. And me and Stu came up together, so he knows me. And he knew what he was doing when he put us in the same. We shared that apartment together in Abu Dhabi for a couple of weeks while we did that amazing work we did together. Where we worked on Stu's pieces.
It's crazy. I actually had Charlene with me in Abu Dhabi. This very same guitar right here was my baby out there, and I think he was only about a couple months old at the time. So I brought that up to say Stu mentor me into the musician that I am today. I believe when I first met Stu, because I did an original musical called High Crimes, which I produced and wrote the book, the music, and the score for. But he invited me to New York to be a part of his musical, The Total Bent. Wow. And when I got there at the Public Theater, the renowned historic Public Theater, one of the greatest theaters in the world, he quickly put the Jedi mind trick on me And he was like, oh, well, you should pick up the drums too. Like, why don't you go play that drum set over there? Oh, well, why don't you pick up Heidi's bass and strum on that a little bit? And oh, well, you need to get your guitar skills up a little bit, because at the time I was more of a piano-centered
Wow.
musician. And now, me being in this environment where I actually left my keyboard in the States, I left my all of my keys in my car in a garage somewhere in California. I don't even have a keyboard to play, so I've been forced for the past couple months to really just dig in on this guitar, and I can only truly credit Stu for my education in terms of being a multi-instrumentalist.
You a bad guitarist, man. I mean, you know, Stu don't play. You know, if he you know, he don't like people messing with guitar. He doesn't. You know, he'll walk out the room on a guitar player. He doesn't really like it. Hear a whole lot of guitars, not unless they're tasteful. I love the way you play too, man. I can see why he likes it, man. I mean, yeah. I guess we should. While we're giving props to Stu, you know, yeah, Stu and me, we went off to Europe. You know, that's that part of the story. We didn't want nothing to do with all the stuff we saw America was getting into, you know. And basically, we wanted to be artists who were able to express ourselves. We love jazz, we love all forms of music and all forms of Black music, but we just felt like we was being pigeonholed. People expected us to play just, you know, jazz or funk, which we love to do. But we were more influenced at that period of our lives by punk rock, and so we went over to Europe, and we did what you could see in the Spike Lee film, The Passing Strange. And we did it, and then we went our separate ways. And I stayed over here. He kind of went over to Germany for a while and everything. But yeah, he went and made a film out of it and everything with Spike Lee, and got that Tony Award for making an amazing Broadway production out of it. And that's when, I mean, you're just a brother knows how to be in the right place at the right time. You somehow connected with him, and he, you know, he was getting a lot of love at that time. I mean, he was getting, you know, posts, emails from Samuel Jackson, and everybody else, Diana Ross. Somehow you connected with him, and he saw something in you, man, because that's a really amazing story that he sent for you.
Man, this conversation is so rich already. I feel like we're gonna end up doing 3 rounds, because you just unloaded a whole encyclopedia of information that even I am curious about. So let's rewind again there, and we'll touch back in on those Passing Strange days. But for starters, just so everyone knows, Passing Strange is this incredible story of a young man who flees LA and goes to Europe to find himself as an artist. And along the way, he discovers so much about him and what it is to be an artist. And what you're saying, Art Terry, is the Tony Award winning Passing Strange storyline is based on when you and Stu left America to go to Europe. You're actually one of those people. And the artist
it goes way back. It goes back before that, because it starts in LA, doesn't it? And we were hanging in LA. I mean, it's definitely Stu's story. And Stu wrote it, and Stu conceived it. And as he puts it, it's a composite of different events. But I was with him through that whole period, you know. We were playing music in the church together. And we basically, we would do our own songs in church and stuff like that. We would do like, because I was in a choir, and what happened was they said they needed a choir director for the youth choir. So I brought my band in, because a lot of the people who were in the youth choir said, oh, that dude, he's into some crazy punky stuff, and then we ain't gonna even love it. You know, the straight women, girls who were in the choir and stuff didn't even show up. So I brought my band, and Stu was in my band, and a lot of other people, and my sister and stuff. And we were doing songs, man, that like, you know, we were taking other people's songs, and like the Velvet Underground Sunday Morning, you know that jam? That's like a song, you know, the Velvet Underground, quite a subversive band, singing about S&M sex and stuff. But we took their song and changed it into a church song, and but basically we were playing in punk clubs, and we were like the only Black cats, you know. in these punk rock clubs. And so the white punk rockers didn't get us. The brothers didn't get us because we were looking at us like you playing that crazy white boy music. So we just felt like, oh, we'd read about, all these great artists who went to Europe and were able to do what they wanted to do. So yeah, I came over first, and I told Stu, first I did like a little solo madness tour, as he calls it. I was running around Europe, hitchhiking around Europe, and playing in different galleries and trying to pick up gigs here and there. But I said, look, man, come on over. And I think, if a bunch of brothers come over here, this is like 1984. I said, I think, we could just take this place by storm. And yeah, Stu and a couple other people came over. And we always wanted to do something that was more than just people just staring at us, We wanted to be more like, we were very influenced by Andy Warhol's Plastic Inevitable, where they had like films. And I mean, that sounds like, oh, well, everybody does that now. But back in like the 80s, nobody really, it was very unusual to have like films and slideshows behind you. And they have like performance art happening and stuff. So we wanted a whole spectacle, very much like the Plastic Inevitable. And yeah, we were able to do that. We brought a filmmaker named Charles Watson came over with us from New York that we connected with. We were in New York, and we just traveled all around. Like we first started in Amsterdam, just like the film says, and we ended up in Berlin where we stayed for like a year and did our own thing. And yeah, my passing strange is a bit different than what happened then, because I was basically kind of deported because I had the best flat and everybody else was squatting, but I had a nice apartment. So everybody would come to my house and we would do our thing, we'd party and hang and everything, and but there's a German landlady there who was calling every day the police saying the Schwarzer man, Schwarzer means black, Schwartz. The black man, he's a pimp, he's a drug dealer, he's got all these people over. And the day before we were supposed to leave to go to tour in Germany, tour in Holland, the police came and raided a flat and took me to jail. Stu was luckily gone. And so yeah, I got out of jail because they didn't find nothing. But when we went to Holland, the tour was kind of messed up because we were late for gigs and stuff because of the police thing. And when I tried to get back to Germany, they wouldn't let me in. I was hitchhiking, because the budget was always tight. So we were hitchhiking. I had like gold shoes, the nails and stuff. And I was hitchhiking. And when I got to the border, the guy who I was riding with just said, oh, this is as far as I'm going. So I'm on the border of Holland and Germany hitchhiking with gold shoes on. And it's a stupid thing you do when you're young. And so the police side had come up to me and say, the passport police say, what you doing? You can't be hitchhiking out here. This is the days before 9/11 when you could get away with this. Now you can't even get over here if you're American. But in those days, they would let you in the country for a minute. But I was hitchhiking with them gold shoes. And he said, let me see your passport. And he grabbed my passport. And it seemed like he was gone for a long time, but I think it was just like 10 minutes. He came back with a big old red mark on my passport, said non-desirable. I don't know if he had called up and said and they said, oh, that month, he's been doing this for so long. Because I had been over there for about 2 years. So yeah, that was it for me. I had to go back to America. I went to London and then back to America. But that was the end of my passing strange. But that's not in the film. See, Stu's film's a bit different. His story's a bit different. But I should make my story too, because I got some stories to tell you, brother.
That's incredible, man. And this is so rich. This is the place to tell these stories. This is long form. This is a podcast, brother. We're gonna be talking,
all right.
talking. And you just lighten my mind up with just incredible history. So just to clarify, you went to Europe first.
Yeah.
And you told Stu to come on over.
Stu was kind of like my younger brother in a sense, man. Stu's 2 years younger than me. And
wow.
And when I met Stu, because what had happened was I was 15 years old when I met Stu. I just got dumped by my fine ass black bourgeois girlfriend, because she was like, whatever. And I was like, oh, none of this makes no sense no more. Before that, I wanted to be like a cool ass, pimp or something. I bought into the whole game that being black was all about being, you out for yourself kind of. It was like, in them days, everybody was like, it's all about me, baby. And then when my girlfriend dumped me, it just kind of hit me like, oh man, I'm immortal. I am immortal. I'm not immortal. I'm immortal. And I started opening my mind to things. That there was another world out there. There's feelings. People had feelings, and at that time, in the '70s, we all had like nothing but soul, the best soul music. But that had all changed. It become like disco, and I was looking for something different. So I never even changed the soul station. You just listen to black music. It used to be so good. You didn't have to change the station. But I started looking and opening my mind. I heard a Beatles album and it blew my mind. And I changed the station and I started hearing all this cool white music. And I've been listening to the Beatles all that summer. I started like kind of, for me, it was like hippie. And I was just thinking like, nah, man, there's something else out there. You don't have to just go around slapping women and stuff. There's another way of living. And I got to school that first day in September. I was like 17 years old. And I've been messing with guitar. I've been thinking I'm gonna change my life. I'm going a whole nother direction. And I heard somebody playing Blackbird. I thought, man, you're hearing things. You're hearing this Beatles songs. You listen to too much of this stuff. And I looked over in the corner. There's this little chubby kid kind of sitting there. I said, man, you playing Blackbird. Why are you taking this guitar class? You already know how to play. He said, I just want, Stu's like, I just want to do something easy. And like, that was the beginning of me clicking with Stu and going on that direction to find something else, to find something, we both love black music, but we also were into rock, and wanted to do something. And so when we got to Europe, we were able to do that in a way,
Wow, that's absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible, bro. That is so inspiring to hear. And you said you both loved black music then, but now, today, Art Terry is black music.
I'm coming back, yeah.
So,
yeah, man.
That's dope. That's so dope. What year was it when Stu joined you in Europe?
So I went on over because I was chasing this Italian girl that I thought I was going to get married to and everything. And we both were just like, we live in LA. LA's commercial capital, it's just all, we're going out and everybody in LA saying, oh, y'all don't know what you're talking about. You think Europe's better. And we said, we show you, when we talk about New York. So first I went to New York. Johnny Edwards is another brother, peace to him. He's still out there. He said, because he had a band. So I went out there and then I met these Italians and they were like, they got me a job to play piano in Napoli. I was like, I'm out. I don't want nothing to do with America. And like I said, I ran around there for about 6 months, going to different countries, playing gigs and just squatting and whatever. And just thinking, you could do that in those days though, man. You can't do that so easily now. You could just show up, walk straight into a country. You just show them your American passport. They're like, cool, man, come on. You can't even speak the language anyway. You ain't gonna stay here that long, But yeah, so I just was there hanging. And by the time I ended up in London, because I was always writing to Stu saying, man, you got to get over here, man. You got to get over here. I'm telling you, like, I'm just wearing Italian suits and like got these girls and everything. And so finally I went to London and Stu saying like, yeah, I'm coming. So I had hung like in young London for like a year. And when they got to London, it took about 2 years after me, a year or two. I said, man.
What year was it? Pardon my interruption? Huh? What year was it? Pardon my interruption?
This is like 84, 85.
Okay.
Yeah. And I said, man, I've been in London for a year. And I said, I can't get nothing going on here, man. These people always want to have a cup of tea before you do anything. And he brought a brother named Enrico Brocher with him, who was from Berlin, was from Germany. And he said, man, he's talking like a New Yorker. He said, man, I'll hook you guys up. If I bring we used to call ourselves the niggas and the Nazis. He said, if I bring a bunch of niggas over there, you guys would be like ruling us, So we went straight to Amsterdam, just as the story says. It's a bit different, but yeah. So it was about 2 years I was over there.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. All right, well, you give me another point there. Before I get into it, let me check in with my co-host, Mr. Brandon David. Brandon David, is Art Terry not the coolest brother you've ever talked to in your life?
Brandon, where are you, bro?
I really want to hear just one song from the last band that you talked about. The name of that band, like, that should be released today. Today's all about shock value and shit, you know? I can't even repeat the name. That's how good it is.
Is that
Oh, the
good?
niggas is not. No, we called ourselves the Wonderful Guys. We spelled it Guise,
Yeah.
which was like disguise, the Wonderful Guys. But in German, that means ghost as well. So it had double meaning: wonderful guys, wonderful ghosts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big meaning there. Big meaning. Very, very thoughtful, artistic representation for you brothers. Y'all brothers is ahead of your time, if I may say so myself. Speaking of ahead of your time, you said back then black radio was so good, you didn't have to change the station, which kind of tells me you might not be so happy with the current state of black music. What do you think about that?
I'm not hip, man. I think all black music's good, isn't it? As soon as, I mean, I think, I don't want to sound like it's a race thing, but I think there's something about particularly, how can I put this? Just looking at black music, it's not to say anything about white music isn't all good too, because that's a whole nother subject. But I think as soon as you put black people in front of a mic in a room to make some music, whether it's commercial, avant-garde, whatever it is, it's all gonna be amazing, isn't it? It's gonna be incredible.
No doubt. Now, I can't necessarily agree with all black music is good, but I can definitely agree with you put a bunch of black people in a room and put at a microphone and some instruments, something beautiful is gonna happen. That I can agree with.
Happen, man.
No doubt. And clearly, you're not a racist in terms of your musical palette, because you're a brother who was listening to Velvet Underground, John Lennon, and Paul McCartney from a very young age, probably ahead of the pack. You were probably listening to the Beatles, and brothers was like, the hell you listening to the Beatles for, right?
Yeah.
So clearly, you're not racist when it comes to music. So let's just clarify that from the beginning.
Yeah.
But my brother Art Terry is pushing the boundaries and busting the envelope open for what is black music, as your radio show is. So we got about 9 minutes left in this segment here. And while we're here, let me ask you this, Art Terry. This is what we usually talk about initially on the Music and Mental Health podcast. What has Art Terry been listening to recently?
Yeah. In a lot of ways, it's hard for me to get over the 70s, man, because like that was a time when there was quite a renaissance in music. And so yeah, when I'm not working on my own stuff, I'm listening to a lot of vinyl. I'm listening to some tapes from the 80s. I'm listening to a lot of gospel. You know, I'm pulling off tapes, cassette tapes, what I'm saying. Before the lockdown, I went and bought a cassette player. And I went and got all my old cassettes, and I've been pulling those out. So, yeah, I was listening to some Simon and Garfunkel the other night that I was amazed at how much I liked it. I thought I knew all their stuff, and I was like, oh, you know. But yeah, that blew my mind. But I'm not very current, brother, you know, so.
That's okay, because usually when Brandon asks me what I've been listening to, I say John Coltrane and Duke Ellington. So.
You know, I'm interested. I mean, the stuff on the radio show, I've been listening to a lot of Sun Ra, because a good friend of mine who was his right-hand man just passed, Danny Ray Thompson, who was his saxophone player. So I did a tribute radio show to him yesterday. And so I was listening to a lot of Sun Ra there. And that stuff is pretty incredible. My girlfriend came in the room because a lot of the stuff they do is really avant-garde, you know, really like noise almost, you could say.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to listen to. But when they get beautiful, it's really beautiful. So yeah, I say a lot of Sun Ra. Yeah.
Great. That's a perfect answer, by the way. Go ahead.
Yeah. The other thing I'm listening to is a lot, because on the radio show we're doing a lot of stuff that people are doing on lockdown. So I'm looking at a lot of stuff. People are singing songs from their bedroom.
Okay.
Talk a little bit about that, man. Like your 43 days of songwriting on Instagram. It's amazing. What inspired that? How did you get started doing that?
Yeah, because I'm a songwriter, but I don't always feel like my producer says to me, look, I don't want to hear no new songs. We're just gonna do these songs that we could do. And we're gonna do it for 3 years and we're gonna keep the same set. And so I got a lot of stockpile of stuff. And my girlfriend is an amazing cinematographer. And she just looked at me on the first day of lockdown, because she's such a honey, and said, let's do a, it's her idea, man, to tell you the truth, baby. That's what she said. The whole thing was her idea. Let's do a self-isolation songbook. And this is day one. And she's like, bang. And you can tell that the presentation's amazing, isn't it?
Dude, yeah, no, it's crazy. Like, I mean, it really shows. That makes more sense. Like, she's a professional at this, because some of these look like you had a budget to make this video.
I'm trying to keep up with her because her angles and her ideas for the shots are better than the songs. Quite, I'm like, okay, I got to get my vocals together and stuff because it looks better than it sounds. I can't have that. I got to keep up with you, girl.
I don't think that's true, man. How do you look? I'm not an artist in this in any way. So for me, it's amazing that you can wake up every day and be creative. Like, where does that come from? How do you write a song a day?
To be honest, it's not every. Some of them are stockpiled. A lot of them are sketches that I did that I didn't have time to finish, or didn't have like you said, the inspiration to finish. Like maybe I got the melody, I got the basic song, but I don't know what it's about. And now I feel like I'm inspired by this situation. I pull songs out and I'm like, oh yeah, that. I put out an old cassette and I listen. I forgot about that song, and it was it didn't have the words, were just mumbo jumbo. I'm like, this is about that. This is about, and it just all has. But it does remind me of the times when we were in Berlin. I love lockdown, to be honest with you. I'm sad that people are losing loved ones, and but I am like, they told us here, don't go to work. I'm like, what? You telling me you're gonna pay me to stay home? It's like in Berlin we live like that. We just were like we were living these hippies and these punks and these squats, and they would always have like some extra soup and bread. They were cool, they were like on this kind of socialisms anyway. So they were like, you guys are like black artists, black American artists. You can like here's your bed, there's soup in the kitchen. And they would give us a studio. There's a studio, rehearsal studio. And in Germany, it was a nice studio, like, some serious instruments in there. And we could just be creative. So it's that same, I get that same kind of feeling now. I forgot how it can just feel like it's pouring out of me. A lot of the songs are dreams also. I'll tell you, Toni Morrison said that she woke up every morning at 5 o'clock and did her writing, because she had the kids. And that was what she finds the most creative period. So every day I do wake up now at about, maybe not that early, maybe 7, 8, but I do at least an hour of just creative work, whatever that may be.
Just
and
first when you wake up.
Yeah.
And do you have any coffee or tea, weed, any, like what?
Nah, man. My weed intake, that's a whole nother subject. I'll talk to you about that.
That's going to have to be in the next round, but finish that thought. Finish that thought right now about what you do in the morning. That's a good one.
I mean, thank you, brothers, for inviting me to this, man. It's so nice to meet you. And so we need to take a break soon, huh?
Yeah, we got to take a break in a couple of minutes. So actually, we could do it now if you want. That was
it's all good. This is a great point to stop. As you all are aware, we are getting a beautiful, damn near a history lesson and a music appreciation lesson, and even I'm just in awe of this conversation. I'm enjoying it so much, Art Terry. Thank you for coming on board. So we're going to take a break now, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about what's going on today in the world with the quarantine and how that is inspiring you. And we'll get real into it, but let's take a break right now for a moment. We'll come right back.
Okay.
Music and mental health. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Music and mental health. with your co-hosts, Brandon David, B.
Oh.
David, So Crave It, me. You guys know who I am. I'm not going to get in there. And we have a very special guest in the house, ladies and gentlemen. A singer, a songwriter, a musician, a cool cat, a radio host, an amazing man, Art Terry, ladies and gentlemen, Art Terry. So when we ended the first segment of episode 14, is it? We're at episode 14. You were telling us about your habits as a
talk about weed. We were talking about weed. That's what we were talking about.
Oh, okay.
So you in California, Brandon?
My whole life.
Yeah. So we could talk about it like it's a normal thing, isn't it? It's like I love weed, man. I don't smoke no more, but I love the edibles. I love to cook with it. I love to get paid in it. I was just doing some work for a friend over here, and I said, you know how I like to get paid, man. You know, I love to cook with it. I love to. I don't do it every day. I'm thinking about microdosing, but I haven't started that yet. Sounds good. I like the saturated vibe. So I like to like go 3 months. Now, I used to smoke every day and stuff back in, the day, but now I just like leave it for like 3, maybe even 6 months, maybe only a couple weeks, and then I just take I hit it. But if you get the saturated vibe, then it hits you stronger if you don't do it all the time, I find.
Yeah, you gotta take tolerance breaks. But usually I take like 1 day.
Well, I love that feeling where you just feel like you're out, man. What do you brothers get into?
Man, I won't even go there.
Okay.
I'll let Brandon take this one.
Well, Damien and I are cut from the same cloth when it comes to cannabis. That's the plural, like cacti. But no, man, I'm kind of I'm in the cannabis industry as well. I do a podcast on that side and do some
really?
business on that side. Yeah, so I'm very well integrated. Actually, this is the set of the other podcast right here. You can see that.
Okay.
Yeah. Usually I do it in person.
That's also the former set of music and mental health. We used to cover that bad boy up with the music and mental health flag and do that podcast right there as well.
Call it the Venice Beach Studio over here, man.
But because of quarantine, we have had to adjust our studios to remote locations and growing our podcast over Zoom calls. But I think it's going quite well. I've seen some great growth lately. I think we were initially a little bit worried about the format and the production and the quality. But I think at the end of the day, people want to hear a conversation and they want to learn from the conversation. You know, the lights, the cameras, and the action and the set, that's all after the fact. The real the real value in the conversation is the conversation at a long form, duration. That's what people want, and that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this in quarantine. So while we're in quarantine, not to interrupt his cannabis conversation, which Brandon loves to talk about, and you might see him hit the bong. You might see him hit the bong here and there in the background. But let's get back on what's going on in the world today, specifically COVID-19.
Wow.
Tell us about your experiences in the new world.
I had it, man. I think I had it. I didn't. I'm a conspiracy nut, so I thought when they said it, I thought, it ain't real. It's something. It's just like the flu, or it's this, or it's that. And I thought, I'm not gonna stop working. They ain't gonna, because I need the money, And they haven't said how I'm gonna get paid. I'm gonna pay my rent yet. So I kept on doing my day jobs, which I tune piano sometimes for day jobs. And I was running around on the public transport and just, I had this whole thing like, man, it's obviously, if it's for real, this thing's for real, everybody must have it. Because it's, they're saying it's everywhere, and they're saying go in the house and don't move, don't leave. I was like into this herd mentality, herd immunity thing. And And then when it dropped, people said lockdown, it's for real. Everybody's locked down now. It's illegal to go out and all that. I went and got my cassette player, and then I went home. And I started my little self-isolations songbook. And on like the fourth day, boom! I had the chills. And I said, baby, I don't know what's going on. And it just like grabbed me and said, I got you now. For 24 hours, I was like, I thought I was gonna die, man. I thought this is for real, you know. But then I was okay. It was funny because I think it was day 4 or something. I did the song, and then an hour later I got the chills and got sick. And then 24 hours later, I was like thinking I'm not gonna be able to do it. And then I was okay. I could sing, I could breathe, I could without coughing. And
Wow.
I managed the song. Like if you see the song, it looks pretty smooth. But if you see the outtakes, I'm like on the ground practically, and then Helena's lifting me up, say, "You okay? Okay, let's do another take."
Wow.
And
so you self-diagnosed yourself with the virus.
I think maybe I didn't have it, but it was something.
No, it sounds very serious, the symptoms that you're describing. So you said you had chills, you had a shortness of breath.
Yeah, and coughing fits.
Like nonstop dry cough.
Yeah, I think I get a bit confused about the dry and the wet thing. But the thing I did have that was typical was the heat. I was really like burning fever. And I didn't take no aspirin or anything. I thought because I had some homeopathic medicine that I went to see an homeopath before because I was feeling funny anyway. But I just thought it was just a little cold, you know. And a homeopath gave me some stuff. But she did say, you need a fever is how your body deals with it. It wants the heat because the virus doesn't like heat. So don't suppress the fever. But boy, that 24 hours that night was pretty hellish.
Wow. What did you do to defeat it?
The homeopathic medicine was good. I'll tell you what, there's a exercise that the nurses do where they pat you on the back with 2 hands, like bada, 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 bada. And I saw a video of that, and Helena would do that to me before I needed to sing, and it would clear the lungs. It's almost like a massage, but it's almost like they're hitting you on the back, and that helped a lot. But other than that, it just kind of seemed to do it. It seemed to do it itself. How you been doing, brother?
Man, I'm all right. I'm over here listening to you like, damn, like, this is a serious thing. Like, I there's so many people out there that are in denial, that are, just going against the grain, going against what their nations are telling them to do. And it's wild because I don't think anybody really, really knows what actually is going on. Even when you turn on CNN or BBC, whatever network you call it, it seems like the doctors still don't know what's going on. They don't know if it's traveling to children. They don't know if the herd immunity is working as Boris Johnson suggested. Let me ask you this. What was the date on that, those initial symptoms? Remember when it was?
So it was like quite close to the lockdown. So it was like, I think the 20th of March. The 20th of March. Yeah.
And are you suspecting potentially you might have picked it up on the tube or on...
Yeah. Because I was always like, either you got it or you ain't got it. I would come back into the house and my girlfriend would be like, you running around here and everything, people talking about this corona thing. You just act like nothing's happening. I said, well, it must be everywhere, But what I didn't realize is there's something called a viral load, a viral overload. Like you can pick up a little, it's not like black and white. You might just get a little bit of it and you might be able to get over that. But what they're saying is happening to the nurses and the doctors is they're getting exposed to so much. That's why they're falling out and some of them are dying, aren't they?
Yeah, man.
I think I got a viral overload, man.
It's very scary. That's insane. I'm so happy that you are still with us, my brother Art. I'm so happy that you got through it. And I feel the same emotions that you feel for those that weren't able to pass this pandemic, for the ones who have lost family, and for the medical professionals who have, fallen ill. Like, my heart goes out to everyone that's being affected by this, and it's really sad. It's really scary, but much like mental health, this is a conversation that we need to have.
Yes.
And while we're on that topic, how do you think going through this, surviving this, dealing with this has affected your mental health?
You asked me how I got through it. I think if I hadn't had Helena, she was there. She insisted on being there. I was like, go sleep in the other room. She wouldn't. She's fine. I don't know why. My mental health, it's actually, the scariest thing about it was feeling like, because I felt like I could deal with it when I was awake, and I was, it was very more than uncomfortable. It was like, it was pain. It's hard to remember pain, after it's happened, but it was painful, yeah. But the thing that scared me was, you think they tell you in the news, because I was having trouble breathing, but I feel like I could deal with it. I could still, but you think you're gonna wake up and fall asleep, you're gonna wake up and not gonna be able to breathe, and it's gonna be all over, You think you're gonna die in your sleep or something. So that was the scariest thing, but it didn't happen like that. But I would hate for someone to be alone, because I feel, for me, to answer your question, I feel grateful, but I also feel very much like I've been through it. Like, I want a T-shirt saying I had COVID-19, and I feel like I think it really has inspired me in a way. I feel inspired, like my body did take it on, and whatever else, not just I did in my own self, the universe, the spirits, whatever, were with me, and so I feel empowered, that I went through. I faced the devil, looked him right in the eye.
And
Did you
got
have
through
any
it.
edibles during that 24-hour period?
I thought about that. I did. And every day after I was getting better, I said, tomorrow I'll do it. Maybe I'll just be cool because, but I haven't gone there yet. I'm looking forward to it. Today I said I'm not going to do it because I want to talk to you guys. But then I'm laughing all the time.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Brandon's definitely stoned right now. So come as you are. Wow, man. That's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that story with us. I think there is some inspiration there. And what you're saying is, you running with the devil and kicking the devil out the shotgun side of the G-Wagon has given you new strength, given you new power, giving you new creative talent. Am I right?
Yeah, I'd hate for I was really down, man. If you would see, I mean, the films don't look too bad, but I was really messed up. I was a mess. It did take 2 weeks. It did take, like they said, that 2 weeks. I really needed that 2 weeks to get right again. It was always,
wow.
But every day I feel a little better. I could feel the progress, so it was easy to do that. But if you have to do this on your own, I don't know, man. That would have been tough. No one there, to tell you that it's okay and do you need something. I think the thing, though, that it is about fear, a lot of what the media is saying and everything, isn't it? I mean, it's real. I'm not saying that COVID don't exist or we don't have something to be frightened of, but it's with everything, the way that everything is broken down, the governments, can't handle this. The capitalism is broken down. I'm quite pleased about it, but it's, especially for a lot of people, it must be very scary time to know people are losing their jobs. They don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. That must be mentally scary.
I think we're all scared as a whole, because even the individuals that haven't necessarily lost their jobs or that might be self-employed, artists, for instance, it's the future that's the scariest part, because we don't know when this is going to end. and we don't know what the world's going to be like when this is over. When
Yeah.
do you anticipate this being a thing of the past? Have you had these thoughts at all?
Yeah, it is confusing. It's because we don't really know what's happening now. It's hard to know what's going to happen in the future. We're kind of like just here. I hope that this is a portal, is what someone was saying. Arundhati Roy, I think, was talking about it this morning. This progressive thinker in India, and she was talking about how like this could be a portal to come into the. I'm really into the whole climate change thing movement and Extinction Rebellion. Helena's one of the main photographers, and I'm a big supporter of that. And I hope that this comes to the new green economy, is what I'm trying to say. I know
Yeah.
Germany's saying they're not going back to when they put it back together after this, they want to put back together the green economy.
Yeah, I've seen reports about historic levels of low emissions in terms of pollution. I mean, you got to think if the entire world is shut down and people aren't going anywhere, the air quality has got to be booming in the most positive way that for maybe ever. You know, like even
Yeah,
in the 70s, they had people driving around and bad gas and emissions, you know, that weren't really regulated with vehicles and stuff. Even though there weren't as many cars, I'm sure the air quality then was bad also. But now that we're all locked away, you know, at least the planet has the ability to re-heal.
There's
yeah,
a really good picture of downtown LA, which has crazy smog problems all the time, before Corona and during Corona, and it's really visibly different. But California has done a lot. So you were talking about since the 70s, like even when I was a kid,
yeah,
uh, in the 90s, like the smog in LA was nuts, like really bad. And then
yeah,
they changed all the standards for emissions for cars, and man, actually, like the standards in California to have a car are way stricter than other places. Like if you want to import a car into California from wherever, like you have to have it
yeah,
recertified and shit. It's pretty gnarly. But yeah, no, Corona, I think somebody said it gave Mother Nature a chance to take a breath, which is kind of
yes.
an interesting way to put it. But yeah, I think it's really visible in some places. We don't get a lot of good footage out of China, but they have crazy smog problems all the time too. It's probably helped them a lot in that way too.
Mm. Mm. Man, that's great to hear about LA. What's that in the back there? That TV screen, is that LA? Look like Catalina or something?
Uh, that's San Francisco. This
Oh,
is the
okay.
coolest thing ever. This is the Apple TV screensaver, and every day it downloads new drone footage from somewhere in the world and puts it as your screensaver. And so, yeah, this is just the Bay Area, but it's crazy. There's London on there and Hong Kong and all these
Yeah,
crazy places. Beautiful, like drone shots. Yeah.
To
that's
be
cool, man.
honest, that's the only reason I want the Apple TV, just so I could gaze at this amazing drone footage that they have. It's honestly the dopest shit in the world. I love that screensaver. I love what Apple's doing to give you a glimpse of a bird's eye view of these
Yeah,
amazing cities, you know, that make the world go round. It would be interesting to see the COVID perspective and have them like roll through Times Square or something, and like let's have a look at that. You know what's going on in Hong Kong now. You know
Have
what's
you
going
seen
on.
any of those, like in New York or in Vegas? It's
Yeah.
crazy, man. It's like a ghost town, but nobody
Oh,
anywhere.
wow.
they literally have those updated now for that.
No, not on Apple TV, but just like there's shots on CNN, on the news or whatever, of New York and Vegas and all these. I've seen London too, just like with no one anywhere. It's like the Wild Wild West. It's like the OK Corral or something. Ghost town.
Yeah, pretty crazy. So, fellas, I'm back to the same question. When do you guys think we're gonna get out of this and go back into the real world? Let's go around. Brandon, you can lead us.
Well, I think I have a more specific answer because Americans are super fucking antsy about being
Mm,
inside right now. And there are beaches. We were talking about Orange County earlier, where I'm from. They were so crowded that they had to close them this weekend.
right.
because last weekend so many people were on the beach. The weather is super nice here right now, and yeah, there's not that many people that have died recently. Like there's a lot of deaths in New York, and we've done a good job of social distancing and like preventing a lot of deaths in California and in LA, San Francisco, whatever the kind of urban environments. But I think the order's supposed to expire in 10 days or so. Like it's like the second week of May. And there's a lot of pressure to not extend it for sure. You know, restaurants and people want to go back to work and stuff. It's pretty nuts. I don't know what the right answer is, but people are pretty over it here, I would say.
So from your perspective, Brandon, what you're saying is this is going to be pretty much diminished within the next couple of weeks as far as California goes.
Well, there's a lot of states that are already opening sooner than that. California is always on the more liberal like side of, well, I guess more conservative side of public health, but liberal politically. Yeah, I think they're going to take more time. I mean, we shut down earlier than everybody else too. It's kind of a little more similar to the way I think that European countries look at it, European governments look at it. But yeah, I mean, if it's not then, like definitely June 1st. Like restaurants are open here, I think.
Don't say June 1st, please. Please don't say that.
I know that's an important day, but
let's segue to that European perspective. Art, what do you got in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, you there? You should tell me, because I think he's gonna fade it. I think he's gonna fade it back in now. He wants to gradually call it off. Boris Johnson. I feel like I'm seeing more and more people. I want to say in the streets, but activity. I think people are finding a way, like they're figuring that it's always going to be a bit of a social distance thing that's going to go on. They're talking about doing it till September or something. But I think people are figuring, okay, if this is how it's going to be, let's see how, instead of you being over there and I'm over here, can we get together and you just stay 6 feet away? Like as a piano tuner, people are calling me saying, can you come and tune the piano? Even some musicians have suggested we could like get together, maybe like stay on different sides of the room. So I'm saying I'm here. I'm seeing more construction, more activity around. The streets still seem a bit empty, but like particularly during rush hour. Today I was out a bit, and there was more cars coming around and stuff.
Yeah.
So
are you getting a lot of sunshine these days, Art?
I'm trying to get my vitamin D.
Yeah. And how about during? Well, I tend to get as much as I can. There's a backyard that allows for such. The weather hasn't been that great in the last couple of days, but let me ask you this: during your during those 14 days that you were describing to us, which was a horrible image, how much sunlight were you getting then?
So that when I got it, like I said, it was 24 hours where I was just messed up, and then I didn't leave the house. I could get some sunlight coming because I have big windows and stuff. I can't wait. You've been here, you know the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have big windows, and so I was able to get some, but I was good. I said, look, you know, you're supposed to quarantine for 14 days, and there's an elderly woman downstairs. I didn't want to walk past her door.
Wow.
You know? So Helena was able to go out. I stayed in for 14 days, so I didn't get a lot of sun.
That's admirably admirable of you, Art Terry. I think you took one for the team there. Kudos to you, my brother. Yes, and I have been in your space before. Brandon, just so you know, you may not know this, Art Terry was gracious enough to allow me to use his atmosphere as a listening party that I did in London one September, maybe almost 2 years ago now. And I'm just sitting here thinking, you know, I'm thinking about when I was running around London in those days, and you're sitting here telling me the story of you and Stu coming up. Isn't that crazy how there's that parallel, like between us, like this this idea of knowing that Europe has so much to offer for the black man, or even just the artist and in general. Like, I feel like Americans don't truly understand or appreciate the artist. Whereas in Europe, I remember we were doing that Euro tour and we went through Berlin. Those were like some of my favorite tour experiences ever, just because of the culture that you get, the lifestyle that you get, the appreciation that you get just for being you as an artist. You know, it kind of blows my mind that you know, we both are on those parallel lines.
Yeah. So you got a new production that just came out today. You produced this album with the girl. You tell me.
Yeah, the young lady's name is Rebel Pearl.
Rebel
She's
Pearl, that's
hailing
what it is.
from
Yeah.
Switzerland. Shout outs to my European artist. She's Tamil, which is Sri Lankan. She speaks Tamil and she raps in Tamil, but sometimes she raps in English as well. I'd say the song that we put out, which is called Rebel Ready, currently available on all platforms. We're just waiting for Apple Music right now, but we just went on Google Music and YouTube Music and Spotify. The song is being very well received. Lots of fire emojis in the comment sections. I'm very pleased with it, man. This artist is incredible. Rebel Pearl out of Switzerland. I think she has something to offer that the world is not ready for, and she's going to take the world by storm. I think she's honestly one of the best rappers I've heard in Europe. One of the greatest rappers I've heard from a foreign language approach, because for me, usually when I hear music of another language, it doesn't necessarily click for me. But there's something about music which is language-less. Like, you know, if you get the good sounds, you get some good rhythm, and you get some good melody, and you stack it together, it doesn't really matter what's coming out of someone's mouth, or even if words are coming out of their mouth or not, you know. But her ability to ride that beat, man, sign me up. I'm on the team. I'm trying to do a whole EP with this young lady. So right now, it's a single. It's one song. But I definitely want to do an album with her.
The visuals were amazing too. It was really well presented.
Oh, thanks, man. Shout outs to Raj Paul Recchi, whom actually I brought to your radio station when I did a show at the O2 Brixton Academy back in 2017, it might have been. Halloween. It was Halloween 2017. Drift Away, my video game, had just entered a new update, and we were out there after the show passing out cards, you know, pumping Drift Away. Me and Raj Paul, and I was like, oh, the homie Art Terry's got a radio show. We got to go. So me and Raj Paul hop in the car, his car, he's driving, and we drive over to your radio station, and we pull up, and I just remember being just in a daze because, you know, mind you, the O2 show, I'm pretty sure it was like 5,000 kids there. It was sold out. It was an amazing venue, absolutely beautiful venue. Just played the venue, just did the damn thing. I was going crazy. And then I had to do this radio interview with you and then make it back to the bus in time to get on the bus to go to Manchester, I think was our next stop. Crazy, crazy time, man. But, man, I will never forget that tour. Riding around on that double-decker bus, going from country to country, city to city. It was absolutely amazing. And thank you so much for bringing on me and Raj Paul to your radio show. That was a good time.
Yeah, man. I mean, you've been through some different changes since Abu Dhabi, man. So I remember, you know, we had a lot of talking to you in Abu Dhabi in the late nights and stuff, and talking about different directions you could head in. And wow, man, you really made it happen. You kind of actualized your thoughts. You weren't just a talker. You just did your thing, man. I really admire you.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate that. I think there's so much power in the actualization of things. I think there's so much power in writing things down and setting goals. I have a Voyager fleet, which is a mentorship coaching program that I'm doing, and I have a series of recording artists and producers and music lovers whom attend like a weekly class online. And you know, I'm one of the main things I'm trying to push into their brains is how important it is to set goals, how important it is to write things down. It's because when we write things down and we say things out loud, we're able to
Yeah.
actualize things. You know,
Word. Yeah. Yeah.
there's so much strength and positive elements of mental health when you get your dreams out of your head, when
Yeah.
you express what you want to do and you don't allow anyone to cover that up or you know, put sweep it underneath the rug. You know, it's all about speaking it into existence. And I appreciate you, my brother, once again for allowing me to have those conversations with you in Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi seems like such a long time ago, but bro, I'm telling you, that was my rebirth, man. I stepped into Abu Dhabi. That was my first time out of the country.
Wow.
When I went to Abu
I
Dhabi,
was a part of that, man.
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, from there, my whole perspective changed on life. Like, if there's any American watching this video right now and you haven't left your state or your hometown, I so advise you, get out of the country, go find yourself some new spaces to tap into, because there's so much beauty in difference and culture. I was so brainwashed before I went to Abu Dhabi. I was brainwashed into thinking that just because you see a woman in hijab or a hijabi, which if none of you viewers out there know what I mean when I say that, that means essentially a Muslim woman who wears the headpiece. At the time, I was brainwashed into thinking that they were the enemy. For whatever reason, I was brainwashed into thinking to be afraid of these people, to not look at these people. And when I got to Abu Dhabi and I began interacting with the locals and the students, my whole world changed like overnight in that moment, my whole perspective. And it was so beneficial to me as an individual. It allowed me to grow so much. And it gave me all the tools I needed to get back to California to start this journey with my brother Bob. Shortly after that, we were on a world tour. We got about 5 minutes left of this segment.
Okay. All right.
We're gonna come back in though, and we're gonna wrap this all up. We've talked about the history. We've talked about the present. We've even mentioned the future a bit. And we're going to end it however it ends, naturally and organically. Let's go ahead and take a break now on the 5-minute clock, regardless of how much time is ticking. We're going to come back with music and mental health, and we're going to finish this amazing conversation with Art Terry, co-host B. David So Crave It in the house. Ladies and gentlemen, music and mental health. Spike it up, spike it up. Bagalaka, shaka laka, shaka laka, shaka laka, shaka laka, shaka laka, shaka laka. Do it, do it, do it. Go, go, go. Burn it, burn it, burn it. Pull, 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 pull. Shaka laka, shaka laka, shaka laka, shaka laka. So Brandon Davis, let me ask you one more time, just from your perspective on this conversation. This is the first time you are having the opportunity to meet this amazing soul, Mr. Terry, Mr. Art Terry, hailing LA, California, yay. Because California definitely knows how to party. Let me ask you this, Brandon David. What do you think would happen if I got Def Jam to fly out Mr. Art Terry, and we put Art Terry, Damian Lamar Hudson, Stu, and Jerry Brown in the same room?
I think that's really dope, but I think we have to make a rock album.
Yeah, we could do that.
Because otherwise, going back to our other conversation, like it's too much black music, or we got to do something, you know, not stereotypical with it. Since you've been playing the guitar for 6 weeks, you know.
I'm definitely not going to invite Art Terry over and go full gangster rap on these motherfuckers. You know, that wouldn't be the move. You know, if you got a giant, you have to use them. And I think use is the wrong word to use. You have to you have to put them in the correct environment. As Duke Ellington would say, I'm not going to tell a saxophone player what to play. I'm just going to say, play some sax. I'm going to let that happen. Like if Art Terry came in my studio, I wouldn't be like, Art Terry, all right, play this. I'd be like, all right, Art Terry, like be Art Terry. Okay, Stu, be Stu. How does that sound to you, Art? That sounds like something you'd be up for?
Yeah. We can do whatever we can do it. We can do it. I mean, I'll tell you, getting it wouldn't take much to get me a studio in LA. I tell you, we love it out there, Brandon. Man, we love your town, man. It's my town too.
I still don't fully understand what you're doing in London. Why?
Yeah, well, I came over here to break it down quickly. It's I got married to a British girl and had kids here.
There's the answer. Yeah. We got the answer.
Okay. Boom. Have you been out here?
Of course, yeah. And I was planning a trip out there too, just to come kick it with Damien, and we're working on some international stuff, some meetings that we got put together out there too. But then, this virus happened, and so that got kind of put on delay. But yeah, no, I've been to London a number of times, all over Europe. I mean, Damien was talking about the value of traveling. Yeah, man, I've been very lucky in my life to travel a lot of places and experience different cultures and food. That's pretty much my favorite thing in the world is food. So but you can see that in the videos on. Yeah, no, I mean, I can't wait to get back. I usually go to Europe every summer. My family goes somewhere in Europe every summer, and
cool.
not this summer.
Yeah, it's all changing, man. That question you had, Damien, about the future, I've heard that there's like a carbon-free fuel that jets can use. I just wish these people would get busy with it because I do love to travel.
And what you're saying is traveling is pretty bad for the environment as a whole, huh?
Yeah, now with Corona and everything, it's not looking good for us connecting. But
yeah. Well, the airline industry is definitely taking a huge tumble as well. Nobody wants to fly. And I can't blame them. I mean, I don't want to fly right now. I know I was flying from Europe back to California, from Europe back to California when this thing first started kind of taking off. And I was getting on these planes with some masks before anybody was wearing masks. I was getting on planes with surgical joints, and literally I remember getting that to LA sometime in February, late February, and this fucking Harley Davidson scumbag dude looks at me as we're standing up to get off the plane and literally looks me right in my eyes and starts laughing because like I'm the only one on the plane wearing a mask. And like I really wish I could look at this guy right now, like all right, now what, motherfucker?
Got a mask on.
You fucking laughing now, like you stupid fuck. Pardon my French, but damn, like people are stupid. People are so quick to ridicule something and laugh at something when they don't understand it, and it's just ridiculous, man. That's one thing I really hope changes in the world more than the pollution. I hope the pollution of the human mind is cleansed. I hope we come out of this with a higher frequency. Ladies and gentlemen, raise your frequency, okay? There's no more time to be sitting around hating on people, pointing fingers, afraid of people, running away from differences, classifying people, putting people in boxes, stigmatizing people. It's just, all that shit is like done. That's like 2019. This is 2020. Like we need that good vision, not that tainted virus vision, but we need like that cleansed vision. And this is the opportunity for everyone to go internal and to cleanse themselves first and foremost, because how are you going to step out into the real world if you haven't fixed what's going on in here? And so many individuals aren't taking advantage of this time to mentally get to where they need to be. And so many individuals are like, all right, I can't do this anymore. I got to get back outside. I need my hair done. I want to get my nails done. I want to go back to work. Let us work right now. It's a free country. You can't control me. It's like, motherfuckers, sit the fuck down and be comfortable with yourself. Be comfortable with your family. Be comfortable with your loved ones, with your romance. Be comfortable with your solitude, with your loneliness. Now is the time to get comfortable with that, because the rate this is going, even if this shit does snap back and they allow us out for the summer, when it gets cold again, you know the shit's coming back. If it's still kind of like lingering around and it's still a problem, and the heat directly affects this, well, when it gets cold again, I have no doubt this thing is going to come back, and it could even be mutated. It could even be stronger, which leads me to believe, man, the future, you know, to answer my question, I was standing out there, I don't even know, man. I don't know about September. I don't know about June. I don't know about 2021. I don't even know anymore. And that has affected my mental health. That has put me in a questionable place. But for me, what I do, and the only thing that I can do to directly deal with these problems is write. I go back to writing. I go back to music. I go back to production. I go back to creating visuals and music attached to it to make me feel better and to also make everyone else out there feel better. I mean, we're artists, right? This is what we do. I mean, what would we do? Like you said, I actually find some comfort in this as well, Art. As you mentioned, like I like the lockdown because it gives me the ability to take everything in my own pace. It gives me the ability to create my own deadlines, which comes and goes in terms of my inspiration and motivation. Sometimes I am I'm more motivated than others, and some other days, you know, I find myself sleeping a lot, and I find myself it takes a second for me to get going. But when I really just lay out my whole week and what I want to accomplish for the week, I think that helps me. I would recommend anyone out there that is losing motivation to be creative, all my artists out there, I would say just look at it from a Monday perspective. Okay, this week, what do I want to accomplish? Accomplish those things for the week, accomplish those tasks. Okay, I want to write 5 songs this week and I want to do 2 videos. You know, set that goal and run with it. Do you have goals for your work, Art, or do you just get up and go? Or are you just a natural born artist?
It is hard, you know, but sometimes it feels hard, but just every day we're doing a song. And that has been a good goal, like you said, to have that one project, daily project. Sometimes it takes, 20, 30 minutes. Sometimes it takes like 3 hours, but every day. And that's good. Like you said, I think that's helped me get through this with I feel great about it. But I couldn't do it on my own. I got to give my props to Helena Smith. She's not just my girlfriend. She's turned, we didn't have this kind of relationship. We did things before together, but she's cinematographer, art director, stylist. She's even become like, she's not musical, but I know when I can ask her something musical, like, does this sound right? And I know what her strong, what she can handle. And she's become like a producer,
That's amazing, man. What a great partner to have. I think every artist needs the eyes on the outside. I think every artist needs a pair of ears that they can really trust. And shout outs to all those people that are there for the artists, to incubate them, to shelter them, to let them fly when they need to fly, but to also remind them of it might look better if you do it like this, or it might sound better if you do it like this. That's a beautiful thing, man. I'm happy that you have that, because it makes our art better, right? What would we be if we were just in a place alone and we didn't really have anything to bounce off back? Even before I send an idea out there, I want somebody to see it, because maybe they see something that I don't see, you know, like a delay in the vocals or the coloring or whatever it might be, you know. That's a good thing. That's a very good thing.
Good,
Go ahead. What were
good
you gonna say?
I was gonna say good working relationship. Someone, because you may not find always the perfect person, but you think, like you said, like if you say to someone, "Oh, what do you think about this?" and you know they don't like reverb, and they come back and say, "Oh, too much reverb," well, you go, "Oh, I know she don't like reverb anyway." But then if you know if they say it's not enough reverb, and you know they don't even like reverb, you know I should put some reverb on that because she don't like reverb, and she's telling me to put some reverb on it.
Yeah,
So
man.
you get this, you build up this relationship where you know which question to ask and which response to take. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I think I think a good word to describe this position that we're talking about is a muse, perhaps. Would you say this is your muse?
Yeah.
Is that what they say?
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah,
I think I'd like to be my muse, and she is. Yeah.
a good muse
Yeah.
has a way of saying things the right way and accomplishing things that they want to have. And Brandon knows
The movie The Muse.
the muse.
Real
I
funny.
have-
Real funny movie. Yeah. It's
Okay.
it's about a writer in Hollywood, a screenwriter, and he can't write his next thing, and so the studio hires this muse for him, and she moves into his house and like ruins his whole life and his family and everything. But it's a comedy. I'm trying to think who was in Basic Instinct. Who was that? Who was the woman that was in Basic Instinct?
The girl with the legs.
Yeah. What's her name? Shit. Wait.
Sharon something.
Yeah. Sharon Stone.
Stone.
I think she plays the muse.
Okay.
And so does he actually, even though his life is ruined, does he actually start writing?
I was gonna ask that too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
So he gets a good script out of there.
It's it is Sharon Stone, and it's Jeff Bridges is in it, and Albert Brooks plays the screenwriter. It's a great movie. It's a great movie.
Incredible. I've never seen that movie. I'll have to check that out. I'm more of
1999.
I'm more of an eternal sunshine of a spotless mind kind of muse cat.
That's a good movie too.
That's my dramatic story. Art, do you ever write any scripts or movies or musicals?
I am working on a musical, brother. It's called Malcolm X Sandwich.
Ooh.
And it's about the 3 M's: Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King. Malcolm's in the middle. So you got the separatists.
Malcolm in the middle. There's a play on words.
You got the separatists, Marcus Garvey, and Malcolm, who moved from being a separatist into an integrationist, and then Martin, who was an integrationist. So it's interesting. I did it at the Tate Modern, actually. The two performances at the Tate Modern, man. It was incredible. And we've done a third performance at the Eclectic Club. So yeah, it was Stu's idea. Stu was saying, look, you know, we're doing these musicals, and you should do your own and choose a British person, British black person, because you know we do the native song. You've done the native song.
Yeah, no, some native song. We toured in Philadelphia. Another great tour I was on with you and the brothers and the sister.
Notes of the native song. And he said, you know, this has really worked. This thing I did. He's done it on James Bond. He said, you should choose someone. And I ended up just writing songs about Marcus Garvey because it just kind of came to me, like, and so, but and Marcus Garvey was very interesting, you know.
Indeed.
A whole nother show, but we should talk about that one day. And now I'm reading about Malcolm. That's what's on my mind now. Malcolm X. That's another show. Incredible.
How insane that Stu is now inspiring you to write musicals. Because when I was in Tucson, Arizona, running around rolling things up with this man, Brendan David.
Shout out.
Oh, you got to go back there?
Yeah, that's how I know him. Now check this out. Here's the full circle. Here's the full circle. This is the full circle. This is the full connection right here. This is the full Kevin Bacon.
Right.
I'm in Tucson, Arizona, and some dude walks into class. It was was one of the vocal classes that I was in. I might have been getting ready to sing a song, and he was like, "Oh my God, you got to sing something from Passing Strange." And I'm like, "What?" No, not Brandon.
Okay.
Brandon was maybe about 300 yards away in a dirty fraternity known as Phi Psi. I'm only calling it dirty because the building was dirty. It was absolutely disgusting. These guys had beer.
I take that as a compliment. That's kind of like a dirty South. I take that way.
So Brandon's in Phi Psi about 300 yards away, just east of, or actually it's west, about 300 yards west of the Performing Arts Center at the University of Arizona is Phi Psi. I'm in my class. This dude walks in. His name's Nico Kimson. Shout out, Nico. Thank you for telling me about this musical because it changed my life. He walks in and he's like, "Yo, you got to check out Passing Strange. You got to sing something from Passing Strange." And I was like, "Yeah, Passing Strange? That's weird. All right, I'm going to check it out." I go home that day, Drockman 933-2 East Drockman, and I go up into my room and I click on the soundtrack for Passing Strange, and the first song I see is Stoned, which the guy goes, "Mama, I'm going through the rhythm, and I'm rocking the catch, and something's got me stoned, and I can't find my way home."
Yeah.
Like, absolutely incredible. I'm like, holy shit, like, wait a second. This is a musical? This guy's, like, singing about ripping a bong? Like, this doesn't make any sense. I'm used to, at this time, like, My Fair Lady and hunky-dory, like, bullshit that I don't want to get into. And this was so refreshing because here I had a musical to digest that was about music. Here I had a musical to digest that was about a man searching for himself in LA who leaves LA to go to Europe to discover so many amazing things and people and emotions that are directly attached to his life and discovery of his artistic career. And I'm like so inspired by this that by the next year, when I'm a senior, I drop out of the musical Into the Woods that they casted me in to be a steward. Stephen Sondheim, They casted me to be a steward, and they wanted me to do it with an African accent. So essentially, they wanted me to be a servant with an African accent. I was like, "Fuck you, I'm out of here." And what did I do? I was like, I'm just gonna write my own musical instead. And I'm gonna write a musical because Stu inspired me to write this, like internally, like Inception, like he just landed in my brain and something told me without having a conversation with him, like sonically, soulfully through the ether, something said, "You should write your own musical." So I wrote High Crimes, an original musical, which is available on iTunes. You can check that out.
Oh, cool. I know it's available now.
Yeah, man, that was my ticket to New York, because after I wrote that musical and we sold out 3 nights in a row, I graduated the next day. Then I'm back up in my room, 933 East Drockman. I'm sitting there with this amazing experience that I just had, which was known as the college experience at the University of Arizona. Great, amazing times. And I'm like, damn, what am I going to do with my life now? I just wrote this musical. I've done a couple albums. You know, I got this guy, Psychological, who's, you know, talking to me here and there. We were going to collaborate on something that kind of went to what that went to. We did some joints. And then all of a sudden this light bulb went off in my head and it was like, oh, you should contact Stu and send him an email, like let him know that you have this musical and he inspired you. And I was like, yeah, I am going to do that. Conscious, that's a good idea. So I started like doing some research, and somehow I found his publicist's email. I found the publicist's email, the publicist of Stu, and I emailed the publicist. I was like, hey, it would mean the world to me if you can get this to Stu. He inspired me to write my own musical, Passing Strange, and I just want him to listen to this. It would mean the world to me. And like literally, like, I want to say 2.5 hours later, I got an email back from Stu. And Stu was like, oh, wow, this high crime stuff is really cool. And Space Blues is quite visionary. You should totally come to New York and, you know, audition for my new show. I'm working on this new thing called The Total Bent. Yeah. And that was my ticket to New York. At the time, I'd never had a conversation with Stu, and he had inspired me to write a musical without even having a conversation with him. And somehow, you know, an angel must have just tapped me on my shoulder and said, reach out to this cat. And 2.5 hours later, he's talking about my sophomore independent release, Space Blues, which is like some wild shit that I didn't expect anyone to listen to. But Stu took the time to dig through and to like just listen to all my shit. And then he gave me a ticket to New York to audition for his next piece, which I went to New York, 2011 in the fall, auditioned, got the part. 5 years later, I'm in Abu Dhabi, sitting next to you, playing guitar.
See, people don't know Stu like that. That's a great story. People, because Stu don't really have time for nothing but art. You know, he does nothing but creativity. And sometimes people think they don't see that side of him. You know, they see this cat who's like don't got no time for you. But if you're doing something creative, I could tell a million of those stories too about him. And I didn't know that. I didn't know the details of that one. I knew that, you know, he had been supportive with you, but I didn't know how it had happened. That's beautiful, man.
That's why I had to tell you that story, because when you sit here and tell me, oh, Stu inspired you to do this Malcolm in the Middle story on Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King, like my mind's just sitting here being blown, because the revolution will not be televised, but it's definitely spinning in a circle right now. Like this is just going on again and again, and it's amazing. It's inspiring, you know, like that makes me want to write another piece. I actually ended up writing several more musicals when I was in New York, but those are just sitting on the hard drive right now. I haven't done anything with those yet because I walked into the hip hop world, and I wanted to play hip hop because I wanted to be backstage rolling up and drinking Heinekens and stuff. I actually do like the hip hop world a lot more than the theater world, because the theater world is a bunch of judges, and it's very judgy, and it's very like, he's doing this, he shouldn't be doing that. You're an actor. You should not be smoking and drinking and partying. You should be very, but when you look at like, that's why I love Stu's work so much, because he keeps it so real. It's not about it being a musical with Stu. It's just about the music, first and foremost. And that's what I love about music, you know, it's what I realized. It's just like, when you just keep it real, you know, when you find the real, there's no doubting it, you know? So I can't wait to see this piece that you're working on, my brother. I know that's just going to be knocked out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's because you know, I'm trying to stay focused on the Sex Madness album that just got released some stuff from that, and trying to get this Black Bohemian album together. But yeah, the Malcolm X Sandwich is the bomb. It's the bomb, man. Yeah, I'm gonna record it. And, yeah, man.
That sounds incredible. That sounds incredible. And can you please tell the good listeners out there, the good folks listening to the Music and Mental Health Joint at the moment, where we can find your radio station, or if they can find it remotely in another country?
Yes, it's Resonance FM. That's Resonance is in Resonate. Resonance FM 104.4. You can go to resonancefm.com is the best way. Yeah, and it's a great station. It's
How
a station.
Often do you have your show?
Every Tuesday at midnight in London time. Yeah. So
Every Tuesday midnight.
Clock New York time. Yeah.
I'm pulling up.
Evening. And it's going really well. We were on lockdown for a couple of weeks. I didn't do nothing because I was ill, and I just didn't understand how to do it. But now we're doing the shows remotely. Yeah. So it's working out.
That's amazing, man. I'm gonna pull up to that next listen, definitely, and I encourage all the listeners out there, check in with Art Carey. That's 12 a.m. London time on Tuesdays. I believe that's going to be about 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which makes that around 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, if I got my clock right. It's getting a little hard. I think that's about right. So that's I'm gonna check that out. I encourage everybody to check that out, man. I know it's smoke.
It's 3 hours difference, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
4, yeah.
I'm gonna check that, brother.
And also, I think with this mental health, and we're talking about our one of our mutual favorite artists, Stu. If people want to dig that, his band is called the Negro Problem. If you want to Google some of his material, that might help you get through some of your might inspire you in the same way it inspired me and Damien.
No doubt. Stu and the Negro Problem has a whole discography out there on Apple Music, on Spotify. They're everywhere. It was a great album that came out when I first grew to know Stu, called Making It. They just put out a version of the Total Bent. Of course, Passing Strange, the original soundtrack, is also on iTunes and Spotify. And they have Notes of a Native Song, which is the James Baldwin piece that me and Art Terry were running around in Philadelphia playing. Great times. Another great tour that I was on. I had the opportunity to play some guitar on that. I don't know if I'm on the album. I might be. I might be on a couple tracks of that album. I think I'm playing something on there. Definitely playing on the Total Bent soundtrack. I remember being in the studio with Spike Lee and kicking it with those guys, and incredible conversations happened there. And then also, speaking of Spike Lee, as Art Terry mentioned at the top of this, go find the Spike Lee Joint, which is a live studio recording of the Broadway sensation Passing Strange, the Tony Award-winning Passing Strange, which tells the story of Stu in LA, transitioning to Europe, finding himself as an artist. I think we brought this up a couple of times. It's so important to watch and to hear, because I think anyone, regardless if you're black, white, red, yellow, or brown, you can find amazing inspiration in this project. The story is absolutely incredible. I highly, highly recommend it. And there's a video by Spike Lee out there. And I ended up watching the video probably about an hour after I heard those initial songs on my ciphers. And once I saw the movie, man, I was like, oh my God, like Stu is a genius, just like a absolute genius. I still think it's one of the greatest musicals of all time. Like, I'm just going to throw that out there. Like, Passing Strange is absolutely incredible. Make sure you watch it, you hear it. Tony Award winning sensation Stu. Man, Brandon, we got to bring Stu on this podcast. I don't know how we're going to do it, but
make it happen.
I think he's a bit too big for us, to be honest. I don't know if he's going to want to come in on this Rank Dank podcast. You think he's shy? I don't think he's shy. You think he's shy?
I know, but we all have different sides to it, But it's funny the more we get to know each other. I've been thinking, we talk about mental health. I did have a moment last night, actually. I must say, whatever brought it on, I'm not sure. But it was that thing where you just think, you start to see everybody's pain, and you start to feel it, and you have empathy with, I think is the word, and it was a beautiful moment, but it was also very frightening, and I did actually go to sleep after a while, but I did feel overwhelmed, and I realized that I felt connected though. And that's important, isn't it? Like someone was saying that everybody should feel like a relative. Everything should feel like a relative. Everything in the universe should feel like a relative to you. And I did feel very much like I could relate. Sometimes, I've been lucky that I was brought up in that African-American tradition where you can always this very spiritual kind of get happy gospel kind of thing. Get on up and, James Brown, get up and do it. So I'm usually not overwhelmed by it, but last night, but what I'm trying to say is, we are connected, aren't we? And I look back, like my relationship with Stu, new relationships like with you and people. I feel that every time that we have different thoughts, and the thought that somebody loves you, sometimes you get the thought that somebody doesn't love you, somebody hates you. I'm having enough experience now to say that the first one's right. that people really do love you, man. You know, people, you can have confidence in that thought. Even the people that are, I've been with people that wanted to beat me up or maybe have beat me up. I don't know. And then come and see them 20 years later on a bus, and they say, "Hey man, how are you?" You know what I'm saying? It's like we all go through these changes, and we all have done horrible things, and we all have done stupid, hateful things, or had hateful thoughts, and been haters. But that's not the real us. I don't think. I think we were just frightened, you know. And like I was last.
Very wise words, brother. Thank you for sharing that with us.
I'll be all right, man.
I think I agree with you 100%. I almost want to say 110. And I think even presently speaking, this idea that you are commenting on is so accurate. I agree with you so much. Everything is everything and everyone is everyone. We truly are all connected. We truly are all equal. And I think this idea has never been truer until this moment right here. The entire world has stopped. And this is kind of what I tapped in on earlier. I really hope we raise our frequency because we are connected. We are one. There's no room for hate anymore. There's no room for racism and sexism and homophobia and classism. It's like all of that shit can just stop because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much money you have. You still need water. You still need food. You still need love. And the fact that you are up at night, tossing and turning, having this moment of perhaps intense emotions because you feel the pain and the compassion, just spewing out of your body. Like you can just feel the pain that's going on in this world. You can just feel the suffering, and that directly affects you because you're real. You have already raised your frequency. Your frequency might have been raised in 1984. Your frequency might have been raised.
Hi, back then, brother. Yeah.
It might have been raised when you heard Blackbird. Like, you never know. Like, man, Nina Simone's Blackbird, by the way. You heard Nina Simone's Blackbird?
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. I gotta visit that. Yeah.
Blackbird. Nina Simone is always in my discography, in my rotation. But Art, man, I think you hit it on the head there. What a great way to end this podcast, because it's so important. That idea resonates so much, and it rings so true. We all have to understand what Art is saying. Why don't you tap a bit more into that, brother? We got about 4 minutes here, but I want you to express a little bit more of that.
I love to say that, you know, I wish we could all hold hands but it may not, it's not going to be that way, is it? It's not going to be, but but the truth is, it is that way. I don't know if everybody can relate to how I'm putting this, but, you know, we pretend because I feel like we know deep down inside that we are connected, but we want to do something a bit more fun and a bit more interesting than that. So we pretend that we're not connected. You're Damon, I'm Art, Brandon's Brandon. And the reality is that's not true. I'm Brandon, I am Damon, but that's boring for us to just be the same person. So we play this game with ourselves. And sometimes the game gets carried away, and it might get carried away again, and things might get nasty. But, you know, I just think, from my experience, when you break it down at the end of the game, we really didn't mean that. What we really meant was that it was our way of saying, I love you, man. It gets tricky sometimes. Things happen that don't add up to love, and nobody can ever believe this love. Some never believe it.
And furthermore, pardon my interruption, but it sounds like what you're saying is individuals only put suffering out because they have in fact suffered.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. Yeah. But there's something more, man. There's something more. Something good is coming for us. I'm telling you. There'll be some suffering, but the good's gonna be more than the suffering. You're gonna get more good than suffering.
As Stephen Sondheim would say, who knows, could be. Something's coming, something good.
Yeah, I love Sondheim, man. I love that, yeah.
That's amazing, man. I love it when you play Duke Ellington on the piano.
Yesterday, yeah. Thank you, brother. I'm glad I did that.
I mean, yesterday, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, whenever
you get to play Duke, yeah. You're in Abu Dhabi at the piano.
Yeah. Remember we went up to that joint up top in that big high tower, and all of a sudden somebody was like, "Oh, we got some artists here," and then we just kind of busted out and like doing a performance.
Yeah.
You hit the piano, and I hit the piano. Amazing times, man. Now, brother, I love it when you play Duke Ellington. Satin Doll, you play the hell out of Satin Doll, man. Damn.
Yeah, I can't.
I love you on the piano, Art.
Brandon.
Thank you so much.
What's up?
Brandon.
I hope I see you again soon, my man, Brandon.
Dude, you will. Everything is gonna be everything, and we're gonna be sharing some infused olive oil in my apartment in Venice Beach. We'll make a little crostini, you know, a little bruschetta or something. I got some real good sweet olive oil, and it's gonna be Gucci, as Damien would say. It's gonna be
Gucci, Wucci, everything is everything. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Music and Mental Health, the podcast. With your boy, Art Gary, B. David, so Craven. Namaste.
Namaste, brother. I got 2 hands on either side.
This is what I mean when I throw up my praying hands. Namaste on the emoji. You know, I think it gets so twisted. Love you guys. Namaste. Sending love, positive energy, all out there. This was an amazing podcast. Thank you so much, Art, for sharing.
Thank you.
Strong, man.
Thank you.